Hi guys! I just finished the sweater. This is the third sweater I have ever made, and it is the best. I had a very specific inspiration. Summer is the time to be obsessed with shells. I saw this and knew I needed my own shell / clam sweater. I'm not a big fan of wearing blue, and so I knew I wanted to try it, but with a different color, like base color. And so I went with this really beautiful burnt orange, and I love it. 2 of the 3 sweaters that I have knit have been made from recycled yarn. So yarn that I have unraveled from a sweater that I got at the thrift store and reused it to make a sweater. This sweater specifically is a perfect example of that. The knit is just spectacular. I absolutely love it, and the vision was executed 100%. If you love yarn like I do, you know that it can get really, really expensive, especially if you need yarn for knitting sweaters and clothing. It just takes a lot. I really strive in my own personal life to live more sustainably, recycle, repurpose, and so to buy new yarn is not the most sustainable thing to do in my mind. Today I want to show you how I unravel thrifted sweaters to then create new pieces for my wardrobe. Let's get into it. Okay, these are our victims. I talk about both of these in my last video, but I picked them up in a recent thrift trip. Both of them are really great materials. This one is 100% wool. I think it's a vintage brand, Lee Wright. I don't know. It's a very pretty gray color. I'm not typically the type to wear gray, but this yarn has a really great variation in it. It's got bits of purple, fuchsia, and like a mustardy yellow, and it's really, really pretty. And I bought this one for $5. It may look like a perfectly good sweater, but the reason I am going to unravel it is because the fit is kind of off and the actual shape of the sweater is kind of weird. It tapers down significantly down at the waistline, and so it gives kind of like this weird triangle shape, but that's not the part that I have as much gripe with. The sleeves are super weird. It is very broad shoulder filling, and it's not a flattering shape. But wool yarn is not something to be passed up, and so we are going to unravel it for the yarn and make something new. Essentially a very similar sweater is my plan, just kind of more of a boxy fit for the bodice, just because I think that's a little more flattering on me. I do want to experiment with a v-neck because I haven't done that yet, and I've always wanted like a gray v-neck sweater, so I'm gonna try it. And then just make the sleeves normal because they are so weird for some reason. So yeah, that's the plan, and I am really pumped and excited about it. Then I got this sweater, which was such a find because I've been looking for a great cotton white sweater that I can make this out of, and I'm so excited. And the best part about this sweater is it was $2. $2! Have you ever seen a sweater that was $2? I don't know if maybe they mistook it as a shirt or something. I don't know. I'm so confused why I got it for only $2. I've never gotten a sweater for $2. So that was just such a steal, and I am so excited to unravel this one specifically because It is summer. I am in my summer knitting era, and so I'm really excited to have some more really nice cotton yarn to knit with. And it's really, really nice. It's 100% cotton, and it's so soft. The cotton, though it is white, is very, very clean. There's not a single stain on this whole thing, and I am just so excited about the quality of this yarn. The other thing is I think it's going to be extremely easy to unwind. Both of these sweaters should be pretty easy, whereas some of the other ones that I have bought and then unravel were not as easy, but these two I think will really just fly. Let's get started. Okay, so truly the only supplies that you need are a pair of scissors. I have a ball winder, but it is not necessary. You can just roll up the yarns with just your hands, but you do need a pair of scissors. So like here, I'm cutting off the tags just so that we can get them out of the way, and then we do need the scissors to cut a few threads, but you're not gonna have to go crazy with the scissors, okay? But that's really all you need. You don't need a ball winder, though it does make it a little faster if you do have one. For you to understand this next part, I kind of have to create a little illustration for you. Sweaters that are made in factories are typically knit in separate pieces and then stitched together at the sides. And there is a cheat code. Unraveling sweaters is going to be so much easier for you if you understand this concept. So sweaters that are made in factories typically have these seams around the shoulder seams, the armhole seams, the side seams, under the sleeves, even sometimes along the neckline. But once you understand where these seams are and how to pull them apart, it's going to make it so much easier for you, because it's not like you don't have to use a seam ripper, you don't have to use scissors. All you have to do is pull the magic thread. You know how when they say don't pull the thread, it could be a magic thread and everything will come undone. I don't know, my mom said that to me all the time. It's a magic thread. You just have to pull the right end of it and the whole seam will come undone. Those seams are typically shaped like this. They have little loops going through each other. I've pointed it out here. It's kind of almost a little V shape though. There is a pointy end and then a curved end. Once you find the seam, you want to find the end of the curved side, okay? This side, where it comes to a point at the end, we want to leave that one alone. But where it is curved, that's where we want to focus on, okay? Once you find the end of that seam, you're going to cut through that loop, just the loop, okay? It's kind of a tricky process, and it's hard to show on camera. You're going to cut through that loop and then pick up this one so it comes off of those loose ends. So it comes in front of it. So those ends are no longer coming through the back of it. You want to lift it up so those ends are exposed and unattached. Then you will pick up that end and pull, and the whole thing will come undone. Okay, it's hard to show, but once you understand that concept, it is going to make unraveling sweaters so incredibly easy for you. Okay, now that you understand how those seams work, you can go through and just start ripping apart the sweater. Take down all of those seams so that the sweater is then in separate pieces. You have a front, a back, 2 sleeves. I usually start with the neckline just to get like the kind of like collar part off, but just separate it as best you can, and then we can start unraveling the whole thing. This part is the most fun. You can just put on a show and unravel your sweater for as long as it takes you. I did want to warn you, some sweaters that you get at the store at some point have 2 threads going, and so I'm unwinding on my winder, and then also I'm rolling a ball at the same time. It does make it a little bit difficult. Not all of them are like that, but don't get discouraged. It's still worth it. And then I just attach the ends and like make one big ball afterwards. I've been unraveling sweaters for hours, but it's honestly really fun. This is everything we got from the white sweater, and it's a significant amount. I can imagine that to make that cabled shirt, I will only need 2 plus maybe this tiny one, but I really think I could get away with 2. We shall see, but that leaves a lot left over, which is awesome. And I am so excited to knit with this white cotton yarn. It is so incredibly soft. I will be knitting with it soon. I am working on a different shirt project right now, but I'm going pretty quick. I feel like I could start knitting on that shirt probably at the end of this month. Yeah, I think so. We have these 2 gray wool yarn balls. I'm not done with the sweater. I'm not even close to done. So far, the gray sweater is easier to unwind because it's just 1 strand the whole way through, where the white one ended up being 2 strands most of the time. I have only unraveled the front. I still have the back and 2 sleeves. So I'm probably going to end up with 6, maybe 7 balls of yarn, which is wild and super exciting. I still don't know exactly what I want to knit from it. I think I'm going to ponder on it for a long time, just because 1, wool is the best yarn to knit with. It's just, it makes for the best material. And so the possibilities are endless. And also wool lasts forever, and so I want this to be a forever kind of knit project. Especially by the time I get to it, I'm going to have so much experience in knitting apparel that whatever I knit from this gray wool is going to be amazing. And so I really want to take my time to ponder on what I want it to be. Like I said, a really basic gray sweater with a V-neck, that would be great. But now I'm thinking maybe I should go a little more crazy and do kind of like a fisherman cable knit sweater. That would be so awesome. And at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I would have enough yarn for that, but it's looking like I'm going to have a lot of yarn. So I feel like it's a possibility for sure. It would be so fun to come up with my own cable knit design, but that could also be a little crazy. I've never done any cable knit actually, so the white yarn is going to be the first cable knit I've done. My first sweater was super basic, nothing special. My second sweater had a lot of color work. This last sweater had some color work, but for the most part it was basic, and now I'm like, okay, I want to venture into cable knit, because that sounds like it would be really fun. So the white yarn will be my first cable knit project, and I'm really thinking I want to do something cable knit with the gray now. I want it to be like a forever wool sweater, the one that you like pass down to your daughter when she's like 30. I'm excited. So I'm going to finish unraveling, but this is where I'm going to end the video. I hope it was helpful. I hope it inspired you. This process is a little tedious, a little more work, because you don't just go to the store and get your yarn and start knitting, or you can't just order it online, you know? It's a little more tedious, but I feel like it is so much more rewarding. I feel good because I'm saving the planet. I feel like it's so much more worth it, but also it's so much more affordable. Being a knitter is hard because yarn is expensive, especially if you want to get yarn that is sustainably made and good materials. Because if you go to Hobby Lobby or Joann's, the majority of the yarn there is acrylic, and the cotton yarn you can get there is bad, and there's a very small selection of wool. You can order yarn. You don't know exactly what it's going to be like. You know, you can't feel it until you get it. You don't know if the color is the way it is advertised online until you get it. And then you have to wait for it too. I feel a lot of peace of mind unraveling sweaters, especially sweaters that were obviously like made from big factories. I feel really good about repurposing them and giving them a better life. Also, I feel like I have a longer chance of holding on to the pieces that I knit from this material because I knit it and I'm going to then be attached to it, and so these pieces are going to live in my wardrobe for a long, long time, compared to like if I just thrifted it and it wasn't really my style, but like maybe it was a good material and then it just sits in my closet and eventually I donate it again. That's not the worst, but I feel like these pieces will live in my closet for a really, really long time because they're kind of more sentimental because I made them. And also it's just fun knitting. So anyways, I hope you like this video. If you like DIY, anything sewing, crocheting, knitting related, all the DIY things, I do all of it. Subscribe to my channel, like my video, and I will see you guys in the next one.